Okay, the time is now 5:25. We're ready for our final presentation of the workshop by Tam Ngo of NASA JSC. She'll be talking to us about NASA Class A certification of Core Flight Software, cFS. Tam.
Thank you, Chris. You guys can hear me okay?
Yes, we can. We can see your slides.
Okay, cool. So hello, everyone. My name is Tam Ngo. I work at JSC as the software manager for the avionic and software group under the NASA Advanced Exploration System project. So to wrap up the workshop talk, I'd like to share with y'all what we have been doing for the past couple of years with cFS, which is developing a Class A safety critical certification of cFS for the NASA Gateway program. Next slide, please. All right, so my talk is as follows. I am going to talk about why we're doing this, what's our goal, the cFS bundle that we are certifying, the requirements, standards, processes that we have to comply with, the cert activities that we have to perform, the artifacts we have to produce and deliver, and our current 2021 delivery milestone, and then wrap it up with questions and answer. As a preview, I am going to show the list of cFS products that we are certifying for Gateway when we get to the cFS bundle chart. And when I get to the certification artifacts, I will point out which artifacts we plan to include in the open source version of those cFS products. And for the serious coders, no worry, I'll keep the standards and the process stuff at a high level. Hopefully just enough to give you guys the appreciation of the level of process compliance that we have to go through to certify a piece of Class A flight software. Next, please. So why are we doing this? We've seen cFS gaining tremendous popularity within the NASA software community as well as the open source community. For both its flight heritage and for its highly reusable and reconfigurable characteristic. With regard to the cFS flight heritage, my personal experience and observation is that when you drop a statement like, well, it's been flown before, you will get serious attention and consideration from your audience, your customer, or your stakeholders. I think that claim carries a lot of weight, okay? So due to the successes in terms of both cost and schedule, many of the NASA flight projects that use cFS as its software framework, Gateway, which is one of the NASA newest programs, has decided to adopt cFS as part of its level 2 software commonality requirements. I included a link to the Gateway program if you guys are interested in finding out more about what it does. But anyway, these requirements are levied on all the Gateway modules, both the US and the international partner. The European Space Agency and the Canadian Space Agency are currently evaluating the use of cFS for their Gateway module or component. Now, Gateway Level 2 organization is the one that funded the certification of cFS product as Class A safety critical flight software for Gateway. The work will be done or are being done by the same cFS team, which is composed of both the Goddard and the JSC team member. This is the same team that develops and maintains the cFS product under the Advanced Exploration System avionics and software funding for many years now. And I think it's a general consensus that having one group responsible for the certification of the product for all the Gateway module means cost saving across the Gateway program. So I think Gateway Level 2 makes the right call here. Next, please. So what is our goal? The goal is to deliver to Gateway a cFS bundle that is Class A certified on 2 of the Gateway selected platforms, and also a Class A certifiable on other platforms. All right. Now, we have done Class A certification of cFS in the past under my predecessor, Lorraine Prokop. So this is yet another Class A certification done on another platform. The new thing that we offer here is a certifiable feature or aspect of the cFS product. The Class A safety critical software classification is the highest software classification defined in the NASA NPR 7150.2. So by certifying cFS at the highest certification level, we basically cover the rest of the lower software classification, since we don't know how cFS is going to be used for gateway across various application, domain, or organization. I'm not going to read off what you can see on the chart here for a description of certifiable and certified software. I do often get questioned about the differences between the two when I talk about them. So I thought I would try to explain it here as well. So you can think of certifiable as being more generic and certified as being more specific. So when we talk about certifiable package, we're saying, here's the source code, here's the test suite, here's the tools and the test support application that you can use to run these tests with your own configuration of CFE and cFS apps. And here's the build and run instruction and the test results you should expect to see if all goes well, right? And for the certified package, we're saying, here's the version of the source code, the version of the test suite that we run on this version of this OS, running on this model of this processor with these specific hardware software configuration. And here's the actual test results from running in that setup environment. And we will only vouch for this certification if nothing has changed. So with certified software, if there's any changes in anything, whether the software, hardware configuration wise, you basically break the certification seal, so it's no longer good. Okay. And the thing to note here is that the certifiable cFS products are what we want to share with the open source community after we deliver to our gateway customer. Okay, next please. All right, so this is the cFS bundle we are certifying. Again, this is a joint effort with the Goddard cFS team. So the two tables show the products that each team is responsible for certifying. The ones that are in italic fonts are supporting tools and applications that are needed for our development testing and cert activity, but they're not part of the, they won't be certified. Let's put it that way, okay? It's also worth pointing out that the SBNG app listed in the JSC table is basically a variant of the open source SBN app being maintained by Chris Knight from Ames. The end goal is the same, but the behavior or functionalities are different, catering more to the gateway requirements. We are planning to open source SBNG as well, if all goes well. Okay, so you might be seeing it out on the NASA GitHub, hopefully in near future. Also, another thing that I like to point out is the CTF tool listed in the JSC table, which is a recent addition to the cFS ecosystem. It's already out there as open source on the NASA GitHub. This tool is being used to develop and run verification tests for the cFS product listed on this chart. So you will need this tool to rerun verification tests for them. There is a pre-recording of the CTF presentation and demo from Ali Shihata that will be posted by the organizers soon. So please check it out if you can, once it becomes available. Next, please. All right, so these are the software requirements, standards, and processes we must comply with. The first two are pretty much requirement and standards at the agency level. What's more is that the NASA standard 8739.8 identifies which of the NPR 7150.2 requirements are considered software assurance or safety requirements. And they also list other additional requirements that's not defined in the NPR. But that's why they sort of go hand in hand together. And as Tim Crumbley points out in his presentation, these documents tend to describe mostly the what and not the how and or the when. And my understanding is that this is intentional to give the standards or the organization the flexibility to define their own process, right? Defining your how and your when that are best suited for your domain or your discipline. And that's where our EA Work Construction 025 comes in. So the EA Work Construction 025 is our JSC Engineering Directorate's work instruction that basically does that. It defines the process as well as the work products required for each phase of the software development cycle, such that the project would adhere to the NPR requirements at the end. And at this level, the project does have some flexibility to tailor the process, but the tailoring must be approved by your project, by your stakeholders. Right, for us, we have tailored the process for acquisition of the government off-the-shelf software to suit our needs, and that's one of the examples. And then on top of that, we have to follow the SSET policies and plan to maintain our CMMI Level 3 credential, which is another NPR 7150.2 requirement for any Class A software certification. Some of it has to do with collecting metrics, improving processes, tracking project risk, for example. One thing I like to add is the involvement of the software assurance organization. So at JSC, for Class A and B software project, we are required to have designated software assurance reps in our team to monitor our compliance. They are involved in all of our software development activities on a daily basis, such as project status review, team tag up, all of our technical discussion, and in our case, we extend that to our code review. The rep in our team also serve as our code reviewer, and we also have them serve as the final approval of our merge request in our code base once the code has gone through formal code review. Next, please. All right, so the cert activities that we have to perform, not that these are the only cert activity that we do, but these are the ones that's worth mentioning. We are required to conduct formal peer review, and this is per cFS product. So you can think of it as we are doing a lot of mini cert and one per cFS product. The formal reviews, for requirements and design, for code inspection, and for test procedure, your test method, your verification method, all of that has to be done formally. Static code analysis also being done per product. As part of our daily development activity, it is built into our merge request procedure. So before you can even submit a merge request, it got to pass the static code analysis and whatever else that we built into our CI system before it's even being looked at by the reviewer. And on top of that, we also have the NASA IV&V organization that provide the independent static code analysis for us. The other kind of analysis that the IV&V organization is also are doing or will be doing for us per cFS product is the requirement coverage, the verification coverage, and hazardous and safety analysis. Okay. Unit test and code coverage. This is also being done per cFS product all the unit tests must pass, or you have to document your justification for why, for each of the test case that fail. And it has to be approved by the project, at least by the project manager. We do 100% condition decision code coverage. We don't quite do MCDC. I realize that's a new requirement to the NPR 750.2, but we are going to defer that now. But we will do cyclomatic complexity and make sure that it will be of value 15 or less, okay? Verification testing against requirement. This is also per cFS product. And the reason I keep saying per cFS product is because, you know, not everyone use all the products. So we're trying to modularize this as much as we can and isolate it as a, you know, in its own product package. Okay. And for verification testing, we are going to use the CTF tool. It's used to create and run test script in JSON format, and there's a link to the open source version. And the test run can be automated and scheduled, and as a matter of fact, we are scheduling it as part of our CI process currently. Validation is being done with vertical integration testing, as we call it, per cFS build. So with validation, you need some sort of system scenario or mission scenario, right? And so it involves, you know, a lot of cFS product together per build. And for validation, we do the best we can with validation using the common use cases that we know of for the cFS product. But if you think about it, since we're providing them as like a generic tool, right, or a general software, we don't have system or mission requirement to test against. So we do the best we can to come up with the common scenario to validate. But we think this is where the project needs to add additional effort to validate specific uses of cFS as part of their overall software system for their specific mission or system requirements. And we would love to hear feedback from the project to see, you know, what are the outlying cases that we might not have considered, and things like that, just to make the product better and better. The last bullet there is only related to the actual certified package for Gateway. When we're ready to run certification on the Gateway selected platform, we will run for record on those platforms with our SNMA folks being the witness in the loop so that they can sign off for that certification. Okay, next please. All right, so these are the cert artifacts that we have to produce as the software requirement specs, detailed design. We will have peer-reviewed metric reports and all the analysis report, unit test, code coverage, verification, validation, anything that's relating to the tool, the test procedure, the script, or the expected test result, version description document, that's including list of changes and open defects. These are all per cFS product, developer's guide. I like to focus for the developer's guide is more for the developer. How do you use this, this product, right, in your software build? User's guide to me is more of a operational, and so that could be something that I think the project should do. We also going to have a requirement traceability matrix that trace requirement to code, to the test cases, and to the verification method. The one that you see a checkbox, a check next to it are the one that we want to make available with the open source version of the product. Okay, next please. All right, so for our 2021 delivery milestone to Gateway, we're currently looking at August for the delivery of the certified KLM bundle. And then in September is when we're gonna deliver the certifiable KLM bundle to the Gateway level 2. And then after that is when we're gonna work on making the certifiable cFS KLM bundle available to the open source community. There's a reason why I have TBD, because there's no way for us to nail down a target date when you're talking about having to go through text transfer process and export control process. It's really hard to know when that can be done. All right, next please. I think that's it. That's wrap up my presentation. Just wanna thank you everyone for your time and for sticking around until the very end. And a special thank to the organizer for doing a fantastic job with the virtual workshop. I'm very impressed.
Thanks a lot, Tam. We do have some time for some questions. From Peter Fiddleman. How much change do you anticipate will be required to cFS to identify issues spotted during this process? And static analysis in particular is quite difficult to apply at the end of a project after architectural decisions have been locked in.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Statical analysis. So even with all these standard process that we have to, go through to be in compliant, I would never say that our software is perfect, mainly because, some of the process we have to go through, like code review, to me personally, is still very subjective. It all depends on your code reviewer, what they can and cannot spot, right? So we do with the best we can there. And also when we do validation testing, like I had mentioned, it's hard to cover all use cases. So we do rely on our end user to give us feedback. Statical analysis, we try to do them as early as we can. My prerequisite has been that when the code is stabilized and it has gone through its unit test and 100% code coverage, that is ideally when we want to put that code up for code review and statical analysis. And we try to fix it as much as we can. And whether due to, resource constraint or schedule, if we can't fix them all, we will document them. At least there will be issues being submitted and tracked, and hopefully that will be part of the version description document. That's where you're going to see those.
All right, great.
I'm not sure if I
We'll go with that. This question came in really early. I think this applies to you and not the previous presenter. Is NASA going to release the level A artifacts, and is NASA going to release the level A compliance source?
For the Gateway program, yes. For the open source, we do the best we can. If they allow us to make it available, we will make it available. And I have, and maybe it was early before my chart about the artifacts that that's going to come with the open source version.
Okay. Our next question is from Prashant Pandian of JPL. Says, I'm curious how the static analysis runs prior to merge request. Is that a GitHub hook, or is that a GitHub hook that was added?
Yes, I keep mentioning CI. That is our GitLab host. Is our continuous integration. When somebody submit a merge request, it goes through that. The system will, try to build it and run it. And if it failed, nobody is going to look at that merge request until it passed.
Okay, and one more question from Ivan Chow. He starts off by saying, thank you and excellent presentation. Is or will security or cybersecurity be part of the certification process, or maybe a by permission basis?
Yes, that has been a very popular topic lately. Cybersecurity is, as far as I am aware of, is a fairly new requirement down from the agency level. And so we are looking at it, and we will do the best we can, but we do need some direction and guidance from top management as to how we will do that for Gateway. So we are awaiting for what they want to do.
All right. Maybe we'll do a couple more if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay. So Andre Choi asks, does cFS come with any fault management handling functionality?
Good question. I wish I have my folks here to help me out on this one.
Yeah, maybe that could be answered. Maybe that's a good one to take off into the Slack channel.
Yes.
Okay, so there's still a number of questions, and maybe with that we'll go ahead and push the rest of these over into Slack. Tam, I also want to mention to you that I've been looking at these Q&A windows all week long, and you have definitely received the most interest and questions for your presentation. So I guess we saved the best for last, huh?
Is there a prize for that?
free admission next year.
Oh, okay, I see.
All right, so that concludes our final presentation of the Flight Software Workshop.